From the busy streets of Jakarta to the iconic beaches that Bali is so well known for, Indonesia has a lot to offer. I was extremely fortunate to get to spend a full month traveling across the country, taking in the sights, the food, the luxury, and all sorts of adventure. In this video, I have compiled all of my Indonesia footage to show you the truth about what it's really like to travel Indonesia.
I'm working on my foreign voice.
My name is Claire Hawkins. I'm a traveling singer-songwriter, and I've just arrived here in Indonesia for the very first time. I hate to admit it, but I have never had Indonesian food before, shocking as that is. But we're here in Indonesia, and we are going to remedy that ASAP. Whoa. I knew that I wanted my first meal in Indonesia to be nasi padang. Nasi translates to rice, and Padang is a city in Indonesia where this food originated. The waiter will bring over a big bowl of rice as well as many other covered dishes that are already prepared the moment you sit down.
So the way that this works is that you don't particularly order individual dishes. Instead, the waitstaff will bring over a wide variety of different types of food, and then you can eat what you want to eat, you can try what you want to try, and you'll only be charged for the things that you eat. You don't get charged for every single plate put on your table.
I heard from some celebrity talking about therapy, how it don't come easily, holding back her honesty. I know I wear it on my face, feelings I cannot erase, thoughts that lack a hiding place, your lips, they know the bitter taste.
One of the most famous dishes is called beef rendang, and it's kind of like a beef curry. It's so good. I think this might be my favorite one, but I'm kind of torn because there was also a chicken rendang, which I really liked as well, but it was way spicier.
And now I can see why some people, they choose not to speak.
I really hate to admit, this is very spicy. It's so good. And actually, I think the dish that was the spiciest was also my favorite, but I was kind of fighting through each bite. I think of myself as pretty good with a spice tolerance, but Indonesian food is really challenging that. I'm really grateful for this. On the receipt, it has the itemized list of everything that I ate, so I now know what everything was.
Remember in the darker days, my mind would try to suffocate, bare its teeth and scare away, put nothing on display. I know I wore that muscle out, biting tongue and closing mouth, and now the language won't allow, keeping it all in the house. And so you can see why your reticence is so hard for me.
Now, you know me, I was not going to make an entire video about Indonesian food without coming to get some street food from a night market here in Jakarta. So I am here at Sabang Night Market. I've heard that it's a great one to go to, and there's a lot of different options. So far, I've just been walking up and down the street, looking at all the stalls, smelling all the smells, including durian, and trying to decide what to eat. I want to try a bunch of things. We'll have to see what I get into. I've done my research and I know that one thing that I have to try here in Indonesia is martabak. It's essentially a thin pancake that's fried in lots of oil, and there are different fillings that you can get it with, but I've gotten one with eggs. I don't know if there's other things thrown in. We're gonna find out when I take a bite.
The windows of the world look down on what we shouldn't speak about. Ties they say can't be unwound. How the past relates to now. Still the filter's coming off. My words will have to pay the cost. This open door will stay unlocked. Fighting all that I was taught. And then they will see why my breath runs away with me.
This looks so good. It's very deep fried and it's very, very hot. It just came off of the grill. I don't know if grill is the right word. I have been given this teeny tiny little trident, which I'm very grateful for because I think this looks really, really oily and really, really delicious. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that's amazing. It's so good. It's really eggy, and there's scallions in it too, which I feel like the scallions really make this. It's so, so good. Again, it's very, very hot, but it's so good. It tastes like a cross between a roti and a crepe or an omelet, honestly. It's so good. The one that I got was obviously salty with the eggs and the scallions, but this stand also does sweet ones, so you can get chocolate and fruit, and there's actually a really, really long menu of sweet options. The portion size is very generous and the price was incredible. It was a little over $2 US. So I think if I don't finish this, I have a little more room for one more thing. I really do want to stress how safe I feel here. Obviously, this is a huge city. You gotta keep your wits about you. Don't be dumb. But everyone just seems so friendly. And, you know, I'm walking here by myself as a woman in shorts, and it doesn't feel weird. I definitely stand out a little bit. There are some other tourists, but for the most part, people just see me and say hello. Or sometimes they say hola, because I think they see me and they're trying to guess where I'm from, which I find hilarious. So my plan had been to search for bakso, which is a meatball soup that's very typical Indonesian. However, that doesn't seem to be the thing to get on the street. I only saw one place that advertises that they serve it, and there was nobody there, which doesn't necessarily mean that they're not a great restaurant, but it's not a great sign that every single seat was empty. So instead, clearly the thing to get here is mie goreng. Every stand here seems to have it, so I gotta follow the crowd and get that for dinner. That was ridiculously good. Oh my gosh. I am really glad that I couldn't find bakso because I wouldn't have ended up here, and it was incredible. Wow. I will be having that many more times before I leave this country. There are a few different ways that you can order this dish here. There are different types of meat. You can get chicken or beef. The version that I got was called migorang gila, so it was a mix of different kinds of meats and vegetables. Lots of delicious flavors going on. It also cost me just around $2 US, and I think I have a new favorite meal. It was so good. If you're a fan of pad thai, it's kind of similar. It's definitely its own thing, but if you like one, you'll like the other. What a fantastic introduction to some really delicious Indonesian cuisine.
I've been sitting on a highway, watching cars go by, thinking living in the fast lane could have kept me from hitting rewind.
Behind me and some barbed wire is the National Monument. I did know that it would be closed on Mondays. I didn't know that the entire grounds surrounding it would also be closed, so that's on me. I did think I would get the chance to do a little walk around, but instead, I'm seeing it from outside the fence, and it's still pretty incredible. On days other than Mondays, you are welcome to walk the grounds of the monument, and you can also pay a small fee to go up to the top, which I'm sure has a phenomenal view of the city. This monument is also referred to as Monas, which is short for Monument Nasional. It stands at 132 meters or 433 feet tall, and it opened in the year 1975. So I'm walking along the street here, it's a bit noisy, and something very, very sweet just happened, which I had thought might happen. That apparently it's pretty common in Jakarta that Westerners will be stopped by locals and asked for a photo together. But what I was not expecting was an entire class, an entire school group of children led by their teacher. I just got stopped for a photo shoot. They took so many photos. It was really sweet. All the kids were so nice. Their teacher was so nice. But I was not expecting that in such a big way. I didn't film the interaction because I just generally don't feel comfortable filming other people's children, even ones that clearly wanted to be on camera. But, you know, I don't want to post other people's kids on the internet. That just doesn't feel like my place. But they were so sweet. And it was just such a nice welcome to Jakarta. And also now I'm wondering if that's going to be a thing that happens multiple times.
Oh, these hands of mine, how they tell the time. All alone, sometimes I slipped away. And as I moved around, I swore I liked the sound, but I just can't get myself to say the name.
This is Istiklal Mosque, which is famous for being the largest mosque in all of Southeast Asia. Right now, it's closed for prayer. It reopens in a little over an hour, so I don't know yet if I'm gonna come back. I obviously would need to cover up a bit to go inside. It's definitely one of the famous sightseeing spots here in the city of Jakarta, and not only for the mosque itself, but for the fact that it is located right across the street from a church. Just across the street from the mosque is Jakarta Cathedral. There are 6 different officially recognized religions of Indonesia, but most of the country is Muslim. That said, the island of Bali is an exception where it is predominantly Hindu. Jakarta Cathedral is a Roman Catholic cathedral that was built in the year 1901. It's free to enter and you're welcome to visit any time of day, and it's really worth visiting. It feels very new, which is interesting because in the grand scheme of churches around the world, it is relatively new, but it's over 100 years old.
A lot of things can feel like summer. Blue skies, a warm rain. It's so easy to hold on to what you know is gonna change.
Not to read too much into these things, but I think the fact that the mosque and the cathedral sit perfectly opposite each other on the same street is a nice metaphor for the mix of religions and cultures here in Indonesia. This is one of those travel times where I don't know where I am. I just saw a cool looking building and I thought, let's walk into it. And there's a couple shops, but not too much going on, but it's a cool building. I've just walked over to a neighborhood called Pasar Baru, which I read translates to New Market, but that's kind of ironic because it's actually one of the oldest markets here in Jakarta. This area definitely feels a lot more local. In general, I haven't really seen many other tourists here. There are some, I'm definitely not the only Westerner, but this area seems like where locals shop.
All these hands of mine, how they tell the time. All alone, sometimes I slipped away. And as I moved around, I swore I liked the sound, but I just can't get myself to say the name.
I just popped into what looks like a discount clothing store somewhat randomly, and I found 3 shirts, and the total for all 3 shirts was $7.54 US. So I might get a whole new wardrobe out of this trip. At the end of this street, there is a more temporary market setup, and the tarps that they have are hung so low that I really have to duck so as not to get hit in the face. I've just taken a Grab, which is the Southeast Asian equivalent of Uber, over to another very important neighborhood to see when you're here in Jakarta. This is Kota Tua, which is the old town, sort of the colonial neighborhood here in Jakarta. As this was historically a Dutch colony, you'll see a lot of Dutch language and architecture and general cultural influence, particularly in this neighborhood. I'm currently standing in Taman Fathahillah, which is the old town square here in Kota Tua. There are many museums here in this area, including the Jakarta History Museum right behind me. I am learning, however, that they all seem to be closed on Mondays. So if there's one takeaway from this video, it's that if you are spending one day in Jakarta, don't have it be a Monday. That said, one thing that is not closed on Mondays is the beautiful Cafe Batavia, which is where we're headed for some lunch. My next stop for Indonesian food here in Jakarta is a bit of a touristy one, but I've been told it's well worth it all the same. This is Cafe Batavia, which was built in the year 1803. It was initially built to be accommodation and offices for officers in the Dutch Army. It was then turned into an art gallery, and then in 1993, it was turned into the restaurant that it is today. If there's one dish that you really can't come to Indonesia without trying, it is nasi goreng. As I explained before, nasi translates to rice, and this is a fried rice dish. There are many different ways that you can get it. The one that I've ordered came with a side of chicken satay. There's a fried egg on top, and essentially it just kind of tastes like the best fried rice you've ever had. I am so excited about this. It looks even better than whatever I was expecting. I'm also very, very hungry. Like I said, it is most definitely considered a very touristy spot. However, I'm pretty impressed with the prices. My meal, despite being a very popular dish at a very popular restaurant, was only about $6 US. Considering that Kota Tua is a very major tourist spot in Jakarta, I'm really impressed by how calm it feels. That said, there don't seem to be a lot of tourists here. I don't know if that's a seasonal thing, if that's the fact that it's Monday. I'm not really sure. Maybe that's just Jakarta, but it's very calm and I feel so welcomed as a tourist. Everyone that I've talked to has been so kind.
When were you out of the blue, and how did you stay? 'Cause I've been strong, but this moving on has guided me astray, and it's taken me away.
It's time for me to head back to my accommodation for a little bit, and I was going to call a grab, but I realized I'm right by a metro station. The Jakarta Metro is pretty new. They began construction in the year 2013, and it officially opened in 2019. So it's only a few years old, which I'm very excited to experience. If you are taking the MRT, you're going to need to stop by the ticket counter to get what I think is the world's most adorable train ticket. You cannot just tap with your phone using Apple Pay or whatever your typical payment service is. But this card you do have to pay for in cash, and it was 50,000 for one way.
These hands of mine, how they tell the time. All alone, sometimes I slipped away. And as I moved around, I swore I liked the sound, but I just can't get myself to say the name.
So I sat down in the first car, and I was wondering why so many people seem to be walking past this first car to go sit somewhere else. And it's because this is a women's only car. So all the men that are getting on are just passing through and will be sitting in the car they're allowed to sit in, which is something very interesting that I've only experienced before in Egypt. Just had the best first impressions of Jakarta, but also Indonesia on the whole. I feel like I had such a limited understanding of this culture and this country, and I'm still learning so much, but I'm so grateful to be here. I think what happens a lot is when people come to Indonesia, they've heard incredible things about Bali and Jakarta gets overlooked. And that was something I really didn't want to do myself. I am so grateful for this time here in Jakarta. Good morning from beautiful Canggu, Bali. I am walking along the main road in this neighborhood, so you'll be hearing quite a few motorbikes passing by. But generally speaking, it's not very crowded right now for a very late morning. I got in last night and really have not done any exploring yet, so I decided that the best way to start the Canggu adventure is with a classic Bali brunch. If you are not familiar with the kind of classic reputation that Bali has, which I assume actually that most people are because of movies like Eat, Pray, Love, and just generally the way that people talk about Bali, it has a reputation, particularly in Canggu, for being kind of a hippie place. Definitely lots of expats, lots of digital nomads, lots of yoga and mindfulness and brunch. And honestly, I don't know how much I'm going to partake in the cliche side of Bali. I'm really not going in with any sort of predetermined idea of what this experience is going to be like for me. I'm kind of just open to everything, and definitely open to brunch. So we're starting there. For their big brekkie, as it's called on the menu. We have eggs, we have a hash brown, we have mushrooms and bacon. Lots of delicious things here. I will not be hungry. I also ordered a pear and hazelnut coffee. which is not a combination I've ever heard of before. I did kind of opt for the more expensive menu items. They do have cheaper deals here, but I felt like getting a big old brunch, and my total was about $12 US, which included tax and tip. It's been a few hours now and the temperature has dropped significantly, which probably means that it's about to rain, but it also means that right now is a pretty good opportunity to go for a quick run. So I'm gonna head out, hopefully find the beach and do a little beachfront run. Because some of the sidewalks here in Bali are not super well maintained, I wasn't sure how easy running here was going to be, but I've seen a lot of people out for runs and this beachfront path is a great place to get in a little jog.
Alright, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not convinced Bali is the safest place for a run. It's alright, there's just a lot of people on motorbikes and a lot of tourists on motorbikes who are probably not super used to driving them. I don't know how many long runs I'll be doing here.
I'm just catching the end of a beautiful sunset here. It is time for some dinner and some work because I am doing my digital nomad thing and a lot of the people that I'm emailing with or talking to are back in the US, which is 13 hours behind Bali. It makes more sense for me to work in the evenings, so hence why I am starting my work day after dinner. One of the reasons that I wanted to start my time in Bali here in Canggu is because there are so many co-working spaces here. There are lots of cafes as well that are digital nomad friendly, and it just felt like a good introduction because I would say that this is probably the most on the beaten track you can be here in Bali. As I'm walking to dinner, I unfortunately just witnessed a motorcycle crash. It was very scary. The guy seemed okay, thank God. I stuck around a bit just to see him stand up. I think it sounded worse than it was. I don't really know what happened, but he kind of toppled over. And I hate to say this, that is the second motorbike crash that I've witnessed in my first 24 hours here. And both of them were locals. It was a Grab driver, which is the service that a lot of people use to get around here. I've used it in many places in Southeast Asia. You call a bike and you hop on the back of a motorbike and they take you around instead of a car like Uber. I gotta admit, after seeing 2 accidents in just 24 hours here, it's making me question whether or not I want to take part, even though I always have in the past. Luckily, where I'm staying is very central, so maybe I will mostly rely on walking. We'll see. For dinner, I've come to a warung. These are small, local, usually family-owned Indonesian restaurants that you'll see all over Bali. For those of you who saw my Indonesian foods video from Jakarta, you know that I've been wanting to try bakso, which is a meatball soup, but I wasn't able to find it where I was in Jakarta, so I am very excited to be trying it here. It is so delicious, and my entire meal, which included rice and a side of veggies and a drink, was $4 US total. This restaurant is buffet style, so you can point to what you want from the different dishes and the people working here will make you a plate. For today's co-working, I have come to Ubud Bali, which is one of the more popular co-working spaces here in Canggu. It's really, really large. It has multiple floors and many different rooms to choose from. Even if you aren't a member or you don't want to do what I did and pay for a day pass, which was roughly $17 US, you can also use the cafe area, which has some great spots for work. It's completely free to use as long as you, of course, buy something from the cafe. The co-working space is 24 hours, which is great for night owls like myself. And when you buy a day pass, it gives you 24 hours of access. You're not limited to just the day that you purchase it. They have rooms for silent work, rooms for chatting, meeting rooms, call rooms, lots of different options no matter what type of work you want to get done. They also have lots of events for members, which is a really cool way to become part of a community if you're staying in Bali long term. They also have a pool, which is so Bali and so incredible. Today I'm back on the same street where the co-working space from last night is, and I have to say, I walked a different way today just to see a different part of Bali, And I'm amazed at how much calmer this street feels than the one that I've spent most of my time on so far. It's still only my third or so day here, so I'm definitely still learning the layout and all. But it's interesting how one street over can have a very different vibe. I'm taking my exploring of Canggu very slowly because I'm doing it on foot, and as you can see, most people do it on scooters. But I'm really enjoying this kind of slower approach because I'm here in Canggu for a bit longer than some of my other backpacking stops. I can take my time a little bit, which is really nice. This is a bar/cafe restaurant that does a pretty good happy hour. They have cocktails for the equivalent of $3 US. So I don't think this will be my only visit on this trip. They just brought over a complimentary coffee liqueur shot, and it looks like a baby Guinness. I love it. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I don't know if I was supposed to shoot the whole thing, but it's really good. Everywhere I go here in Canggu, the locals are just so kind. The staff at every restaurant, every cafe. I'm really just very grateful because I know how many tourists they deal with here. And it's nice to feel so welcome. I've just come back to the co-working space because I have a 24-hour pass. So I actually have a few hours left and I'm here getting a little bit of work done while also catching an incredible sunset. I'm really glad I came back to see it a bit more in the daylight because there are way more rooms and terraces and outdoor areas than I realized last night. It's a very cool co-working space. It is a little bit on the expensive side, but there's a lot of space, so I do understand. I think I did a good job of finding a slightly better option of a running path. So I got a couple miles in and then picked up a nice little frozen cocktail and I brought it down here to the beach. This is my first time actually properly visiting Canggu Beach and it is so cool. It's definitely a surf beach and I'm not a surfer, but you can see lots of people out for either surf lessons or just out riding the waves. And of course, I'm here just in time for a beautiful sunset. I was going to start this clip by saying good morning, but because I've been working such late nights, I've had to catch up on sleep in the mornings. So it is not morning. It's about 12:04 or something like that. And I'm headed out for another classic Bali brunch. I have to say, I feel like I'm taking good advantage of the food scene here between all of the incredible Indonesian food as well as the also incredible Western style breakfasts. There's kind of a little bit of everything here, and I'm slowly working my way through everything.
decided to come here to a clearly very popular brunch spot called Gigi Susu. Every time I've walked by, there's a huge line, either people coming to the restaurant or getting pastries and coffees from their takeaway stand. And the nice thing about the fact that I slept so late this morning is that there wasn't really a wait. I think typically if you come at peak brunch hour, you probably have to wait a bit. But right now, I didn't have to. They have a very extensive menu. I opted for the Eggs Benedict, which was only about $5. So I decided to additionally treat myself to a caramel frappuccino, which I'm pretty excited about. I think this is the most ridiculous drink I've ever ordered. I'm so excited.
I always love when the really popular kind of touristy place lives up to the hype. That place is amazing. Best breakfast in Bali so far for sure. Now I think it's time to take advantage of being in Bali in another way, which is relaxing by the pool.
This chaos tastes a little different. I give up on the time like it's always been a choice. And I don't speak the language of this music. I'm waiting on my foreign voice.
Today is Saturday and I'm just having a very slow morning / afternoon. I'm hanging out here at my accommodation, which is absolutely beautiful. I am so grateful. It was one of those times where I splurged a little bit, but by Bali standards, definitely did not splurge at all. You can really find accommodation at every single price point here. You can find dorm beds for just a couple of dollars, and you can stay in luxury villas for I don't even know how much. This place I think was roughly $75 a night or so for a completely private room with a workspace and a little kitchen, and not one but two beautiful pools just like this. So I've been very happy here. I'm also really centrally located, which is something that I had kind of been aware of, but I think it wasn't until I arrived that I realized just how in the heart of things I am here in Canggu. So it's been great. This is, I should say, obviously not sponsored, but if you're curious, the place is called the Soul House, and it's kind of a mix between a very calm hostel and a hotel, or a mini resort almost. But it's one of those places that I think is technically a hostel because they do have dorm rooms, but it does not feel like a hostel. So far today, I have just been hanging out by the pool, reading my book, getting a little bit of sun. It was pretty rainy earlier, but the sun has sort of peeked its head out, and it's just been a really nice, lazy Saturday. I've been having a really good day. I am gonna get changed and get ready to go out and do some exploring, probably grab some food in a little bit. But so far I've been taking it slow, and I feel like what's really nice about Canggu is you can kind of choose your own adventure in that way. You can take things slow if you want to, or you can do a million things and go out partying if that's your speed. And I think today is going to be maybe a little bit of each, but definitely a slow morning anyway. All right, my friends, it is Saturday night here in Canggu. I don't know how crazy of a Saturday night I have ahead of me, but I'm open. We'll see what happens. But we are starting with dinner, and there is a place here. It's not exactly Indonesian. However, there is a French entrecote place that has good reviews, and it looks really cute. And I love steak frites. So we're going to give it a go and see how Canggu does French food. People really rave about the food scene in Bali, and with very good reason. There are so many different types of cuisines you can try here. Of course, the Indonesian has been my favorite so far, but something like this is so special, and it was only $35 US, which is certainly very affordable for something as nice as a fancy French entrecote experience. To continue the night's fun, I am headed to Old Man's, which is a very popular bar here in Canggu, and it's right by the beach.
This chaos tastes a little different. I give up on the time like it's always been a choice. And I don't speak the language of this music, but I'm working on my foreign voice.
I don't know how well you can actually tell on camera, but this place is pretty empty. I was kind of surprised for a Saturday night. I know that this is one of the kind of go-to bars here in Canggu. Maybe I'm just too early, or maybe it is bigger on a different night of the week, but I would have thought Saturday.
Well, hello. I maybe stupidly attempted to go for a run, and about 5 minutes into the run, thunderstorms. I mean, it's on me. It was raining when I left for the run, but it wasn't raining like this. This is crazy. You know, I really do try to show the realities of travel, and this is one of them. Sometimes you wait for certain things you want to do for the weekend, and then it thunderstorms on the weekend, and that's okay. I was definitely hoping to make it to one of the famous beach clubs here in Canggu today, and then this happened. But, you know, it's always a good excuse to come back and visit a place again. This is just insane. It's been kind of on and off rain all day. I got a little bit of nice sunshine pool time before this, but I was thinking I would go for like a late afternoon, early evening beach club extravaganza, and that's just not in the cards today.
I thought I'd take you all along for a full day in my life and show you what it's like living here as a digital nomad in Bali. And first things first, I am carrying my laundry. We are going to head over to the laundromat here. I am always amazed when I'm traveling in this part of the world by how affordable laundry services are. And I have found a place here in Canggu that might be the best wash and fold experience I've ever had. And it cost me last time $3. This place is called March Wash, which is a little bit of a tongue twister. The staff are so incredibly kind and they truly do the best job. I was so impressed. They even let me separate out some things that I didn't want to go in the dryer, which I feel like is not always an option at these wash and fold places, but they really just do the best, so I cannot recommend them enough. One of the things that I love about Canggu is that for the most part, it's shops and cafes, but then randomly, rice paddies. I'm walking to breakfast now. I should say brunch because it's a bit late in the day. I do work evenings while I'm traveling, so typically I'm working pretty late into the night and then waking up a little bit later and getting my day started a little bit closer to noon. Although it's not noon yet today. I got an early-ish start. Canggu is known for brunch spots, so you'll never be without options here. However, we are headed to Doppio Cafe, which is one of my favorites because not only is the food fantastic, like most brunch places here, but their prices are a little bit lower, which, don't get me wrong, the prices here are all fantastic. But this place is one that includes tax and tip in the price you see on the menu, which is not typical for Bali. I point this out just because I think it's a little bit atypical compared to the rest of Southeast Asia, that most places here, at least in Canggu, will have tax and service charge added on the bill at the end of your meal. So it's something to just be aware of and budget for, that the price on the menu is not always the price that you pay. However, it is at Doppio Cafe.
She takes her time. She lives alone and unwise. She's stalling while calling out for more. She doesn't know what for.
I decided it was time that I finally get a classic smoothie bowl as a breakfast. but I did also opt for an almond croissant in addition, which was probably not necessary. In total, for the 2 items, my meal came to $6.20. Not bad. For my post-brunch activity, I am taking advantage of having a pool at my accommodation. This is actually one of 2 pools that I have access to here, which is incredible. And it feels so nice and clean, and it's in the sun. There are shady bits if you want it. So far today, I've just been sitting by the pool and reading my book, and I've just jumped in for a quick, cool swim. And then I'm gonna head off to my next activity, which is something I never do and have not done in 4 years, which is getting my nails done, because why not?
She's on the edge of the night. She's only blinded by the light. Nothing unspoken, endless outward hoping's keeping me tied to her.
I think I managed to time today pretty well because it was extremely hot when I was relaxing by the pool and then when I got in the pool. And now it's cooled down just a little bit. It's not actually cold, but it's colder. And I'm headed for a little treat myself afternoon. So far here in Bali, I have definitely taken advantage of the great prices they have on massages. There is a place I've been to a couple times called Emily Spa, and they do an incredible job and their prices are amazing. And I noticed last time I was there that they do manicures for an equivalent of about $6 US. Now, the last time I got a manicure, I think was 4 years ago in Mexico. I play guitar, so it's just, I don't know, it's not something that makes a lot of sense for me because I find that if I get my nails done, the paint just chips off when I play guitar. So it's not something I do really ever anymore. But I don't have my guitar here on this trip, so I figure I might as well.
She can't compromise. She acts of her own design. She's wanting and haunting every space. She can't keep a straight face.
I think maybe my takeaway is that manicures are not for me. I do really recommend that place for massages. I don't know, maybe I'm just like not the manicure type. Yeah, we'll go with that. Unfortunately, that ended up taking way longer than I anticipated. The sign said it was a 30-minute treatment. I think I was there over an hour and a half, which, hey, island time, I totally get. I'm not really sure what happened, but like I said, I don't get manicures regularly, so I don't know how long they take, frankly. But anyway, it's now definitely work time. I need to kind of hurry up because I feel a little behind schedule now. But I'm gonna grab my laptop and then head to a cafe that is known for being one of the top co-working cafes here in Canggu. This is Zin Cafe, which I think is fair to say is the #1 co-working cafe here in Canggu. There are many. In fact, it kind of seems like every cafe here offers free Wi-Fi and seems pretty okay with people bringing laptops. That said, what I really like about this place is that you know that they are for sure welcoming of digital nomads like myself. They actually have a whole upstairs area that is dedicated to remote workers. And the entire place is so large. There's a hotel and a gym, bar, restaurant. There's a lot of different sections to it, but it's nice to know that there's no issue at all with me having my laptop here. The Wi-Fi is really solid, and probably the most impressive thing is just how affordable the drinks are. I have to say, you would expect with a place like this that's so well set up for remote work that you might pay a little bit extra, you know, kind of pay for the space via your drink prices. That is not the case here. My fancy little sugary latte was only about $2.40, which is really incredible. I've been getting some great work done here, and now I've decided to take a little bit of a work break to stroll down to the beach, which is only about 2 minutes from the cafe. I have to say, I feel like I have not been taking quite enough advantage of how close I am to the beach here in Canggu. Part of that has to do with that it's very much a surfing beach, and I'm not a surfer, but it's almost sunset time. It feels like the perfect time of day to just take in the waves, the sounds, the sun as it starts to go down, and then I'll go back to work at the cafe.
She's on the edge of the night. She's only blinded by the light. Nothing unspoken, endless outward hoping's keeping me tight.
I'd say this part of Canggu is not particularly known for having the most beautiful beaches, or maybe I should say this part of Bali, because in general, Canggu is a surfing town. You'll see that the sand here is black sand, which doesn't quite have the same sort of aesthetic appeal as maybe the white sand beaches that you'll find more in the southern tip of Bali. That said, it's pretty incredible to be located just a few minutes from the beach as I'm doing my work, and I feel like it's such a luxury to get to take a little work break and then be here. As you can see, there are some beach clubs in this area, but they're much more casual than these sort of nightclub style beach clubs, or I guess I should call them day clubs. I actually don't really know. The most famous party beach club is called Finn's. I didn't make it there this trip, but I'm not sure that it was the exact kind of digital nomad scene that I have been looking for on this trip. That said, it sounds like a lot of fun. I was hoping to make it to La Brisa, which is another highly recommended beach club here in Canggu, but the day that I was going to go, it absolutely downpoured, complete thunderstorm, so I felt like it was not the right day. That said, I think that there's so much to do here in Canggu, truly just so much going on, so many events, so many places to visit. It's impossible to visit it all, which is always a great excuse to come back. Zin Cafe is open until midnight, and I still have plenty of work to get done, so I think I might plan on eating dinner here just so I can keep plugging away at my computer. Plus, I'm really enjoying how this place feels like a treehouse. Apparently the thing to get is the Indonesian curry, and I haven't really had that yet here in Bali.
She's on the edge of the night. She's only blinded by the light. Nothing unspoken, endless outward hoping's keeping me tied to her.
I had a genuinely fantastic dinner and then got some more work done at the cafe, and now I'm ready. I'm at a stopping point. It's time for a little change of scenery, and there's actually a co-working space at my accommodation. So the plan is to head back there and kind of shift gears into some other work I have to get into and do a couple more hours of work, even though it's like 8:30 right now.
I can't say it's too much of a surprise that I'm the only one in here. It's been really, really great to have a co-working space in my accommodation. I'm actually so grateful for it because of these late nights. There are a lot of 24-hour co-working spaces, or at least late night cafes here in Canggu. That said, it's not exactly my favorite thing in the world to transport myself back to my accommodation late at night. So having this option in the building where I'm staying is so nice.
Hello from beautiful Ubud Bali. Today I traveled up from Canggu. I just decided to call a Grab. You can hire a private driver and take a little detour and do some sightseeing, but Grab was really easy and it only took about less than an hour and a half, which I had been told to expect worse. Ubud has lots of sightseeing. There are lots of day trips you can do around this region. Definitely a long list of things to do. That said, we are starting today with a little bit of digital nomad life. I found a coffee shop that is open fairly late and supposedly has good Wi-Fi and good coffee, and I'm gonna get a little bit of work done. This is a pretty adventurous walk to this coffee shop because I'm walking along the monkey forest here, which is what it sounds like. I think I just saw about 15 different monkeys just crossing the street, climbing the telephone wires, in all of the trees.
Oh, Daisy, I've been thinking about the 6th grade. Guns, germs, steel, paper planes. I'd watch them soar.
I have to say, this is a pretty fun little vantage point to have as I'm doing my remote work. I feel like I'm hidden up here and I can kind of spy on everyone down in the street.
It is time for a little work break. It's time to get some dinner. I hope that the place that I'm going to is a somewhat more local Indonesian spot. We'll find out, but I know it's going to be delicious regardless. I haven't really had any bad meals yet in Indonesia, and I don't think I will.
Oh, Daisy, old barley, corn, wheat, grain, wayfaring holidays. But who would ever leave New York?
What a special experience. Not only is the food here fantastic, we had a particularly unique cultural experience there. At the moment, it is the Balinese Hindu festival of Galungan. I'm not sure that I'm pronouncing that right, so if any of my Balinese viewers can help me with my pronunciation. From what I understand, this is a very important holiday in Balinese Hinduism. It is a 10-day period that is celebrating the triumph of goodness over evil. And during these 10 days, the spirits of ancestors come back to Earth to visit their family. Today, I'm doing some exploring of the town here in Ubud. This is a great place to base yourself for a lot of different day trips throughout the region, but the town itself also has so much to see and do. So we're starting off today. Might visit a temple or two, definitely gonna eat some great food, maybe even do some shopping. We'll see what we get up to. This temple is called Ubud Water Palace, and it's absolutely beautiful. It was built in the 1950s, so it is a relatively newer temple, but it's also one of the most beautiful temples I've ever seen. The entrance fee is 60,000 rupiah, which is roughly $3.60 US. Regardless of what you're wearing, they will give you a sarong and a jacket to cover up. So everyone in the temple is dressed the same way in this beautiful purple color. You cannot go inside the temple, but truly just wandering around the outside is very, very worth it. It's particularly famous for its lotus pond, which has some really beautiful water fountains that go off, and a little walkway where you can actually walk across the pond on these little stepping stones. Obviously, this is a religious site, so you have to make sure that you're behaving appropriately, dressed appropriately. I will say there is a bit of a casual atmosphere though, as there is a selfie station and many signs up for good photo spots. So you definitely want to make sure that you're being as respectful as possible, but it's not the strictest temple I've ever visited. And to further prove my point, there's also a Starbucks on the grounds. As much as Starbucks is absolutely a valid option, I've decided to go around the corner and find a slightly more specific to Bali option for a little air conditioning and some coffee. Milk and Madu is a very popular restaurant here. I think they're known for pizzas mainly, but I've just come in quickly for a little coffee break. I ordered a coconut cold brew, which is just cold brew with a scoop of coconut sorbet in the drink, and yes, it is delicious. Now it's time to maybe do some shopping. There is a famous market here called the Ubud Art Market, and it's just across the street. I don't know that it's the best place to get the lowest prices, but it's definitely a sight to see, and I'm open to doing some shopping.
Press me down where I have landed. Don't you find me heavy-handed? I will take the blame for planning, but oh, Daisy, understand it.
I'd say for the most part, the stalls here are a mix of souvenirs and clothing, but I think everything that they sell at the market, you'll also see at most of the shops that line the streets here in the town of Ubud. So I'm not really sure if there's particular reason to shop here versus anywhere else in town, but this is kind of a stop on the list of sightseeing spots, so I did want to see the market, and it is a very cool structure. I've definitely noticed there's a bit more of a hassling culture, I don't know if that's the right word, but here in Ubud, it's much more normal for a lot of taxi drivers to come up to you and ask if you need a taxi when you're just walking down the street. Definitely some people that are selling things on the street. Not so much in the market, but just as I'm walking, people will come up and say, you know, "Miss, you want to buy anything?" Or they'll just sort of show me something and say $1. I don't really know what it was actually even. It's not too invasive or anything, but I do feel a definite difference between here and Canggu, at least in that respect. I think now is a good time to grab some lunch before I continue my exploring here in Ubud.
I'm hoping to find some Indonesian food, something a little bit on the local side. And typically when you're looking for Indonesian food here on the island of Bali, you want to look for a place called a warung. These are smaller, local, family-owned Indonesian restaurants, and they have some really great food at some really incredible prices. I've ordered a mango smoothie, which is my favorite thing to get in Southeast Asia, and nasi campur, which is a very classic Indonesian dish with rice and a whole bunch of different tastes of things on the sides. There's egg, tempeh, chicken, some veggies on the side, and all in all, for the mango smoothie and my main, it was $2.70 US. It has been a good couple of hours. Pretty much right after I filmed that last clip, it started torrential downpouring, thunder and lightning for a good couple of hours, which meant I got to have a nice relaxing afternoon after my morning of sightseeing. And now, flash forward, it's dinner time. I truly have not been able to get sick of Indonesian food. It's all been so delicious, so I'm having it again for dinner, and then I'm headed to a very unique co-working space to do a little bit of a digital nomad evening here in Ubud.
Oh, Daisy, I'd trade my gold if you made me lighter than the weight of staying. The poultry paint. Oh, Daisy, the sirens are calling crazy. You know how their songs can make me run away.
Well, good morning. Yesterday turned into a very, very rainy afternoon, full on thunder and lightning. And then in the evening, I got some work done at a co-working space called Outpost, which was 24 hours. So it was a nice, chill, and productive second half of the day. But today, it's not currently raining, so it's time for some exploring. I am taking a grab bike just about 30 minutes from the town of Ubud to Tagalalong Rice Terrace. The scenery leaving the town of Ubud is just remarkable, and a real reminder that when you come here, you can't just stay in the town. You gotta get out and see the surrounding land. It is just the most green I've ever seen. I'm here at Tagalalong Rice Terrace, and wow is all I can say. This is one of those places that I know is a tourist destination. I know that it's set up for Instagram photos. I know that people are here getting content, and yet it's so beautiful. I almost don't care. They have lots of extra add-ons you can pay for, like the Bali swing. You can get one of those flying dress photos. You can do a zip line, which actually looks really fun. But you can also just pay 50,000, which is a little over $3, and walk through this beautiful, beautiful land, which is what I've opted for. I had actually been advised to visit other rice terraces. I had been told this one is really, really touristy, which it is. We've covered that. But I think I got really, really lucky today because it was raining pretty heavily this morning, and I hopped on the grab bike the moment it stopped raining. So right now, we actually have perfect weather, and I believe a lot of other tourists were probably discouraged by the rain this morning because there really aren't that many people here at all, which, if you ask me, is a pretty perfect experience.
Press me down where I have landed. Don't you find me heavy-handed. I will take the blame for planning, but oh, Daisy, understand it.
I don't know why I find it kind of funny that as you're walking along the rice terraces, there's a bar and you can watch people zip line past while you drink your drink. I think I have to go ahead and add this to the list of most incredible places I've ever had a beer. I'm taking a grab bike back into the town of Ubud to visit a very important destination, which is the monkey forest. The interesting thing about this sanctuary is that the monkeys roam free. They're not in cages, they're not behind walls, and when you're walking along this road here, sometimes they jump over the wall and run right past you and cross the street. The sanctuary costs 100,000 rupiah to enter, which is roughly 6 USD, and that allows you to stay for the whole day if you so choose. They close at 6 p.m. Whatever amount of monkeys I expected there to be, there are way, way more. Everywhere you look, there's 5 or 10 monkeys eating, picking bugs off each other, scratching each other, playing, doing some other stuff. It definitely feels like we are in their place and not the other way around. So there are temples here within the sanctuary, and it's pretty indescribable just watching these monkeys roam free and climb the temples and the statues. It's really unlike anything I've ever seen before. There are a few rules for visiting the monkey forest that are very important to keep in mind. If you look up the monkey forest on Google Maps, you'll see the #1 word that is used the most often in reviews of this place is aggressive. And that is because these monkeys can be aggressive if provoked. So there are a few things you can do to make sure that you don't have an altercation with a monkey while you're here in Ubud. The #1 thing is do not have any food on you. Do not try to feed the monkeys. The monkeys are well fed. Don't take on that job yourself. #2, do not make eye contact or bare your teeth because both of those can be seen as signs of aggression. And third of all, don't touch the monkeys. Don't get too close to them. Some of this is basic common sense, I think, but just generally speaking, be smart, keep your distance. You can take your photos, don't use flash, don't shove your phone in their face. For the most part, it's pretty chill, but they do get very close to you, so you do have to be careful where you're walking.
Oh, Daisy, understand me, overlooking where I'm standing. Winds are blowing from the canyon, let them move me with a bend.
I have to admit, I came into this place just because I saw a happy hour sign and it lured me in. And there's this incredible outback area with a little rice field. It's such a nice surprise. Sadly, today is my last day here in Ubud, but don't worry, I'm not leaving Bali anytime soon, so there are many more Bali videos on the way. Make sure you're subscribed. But today, we still have an exciting day ahead of us. One of the places that I've been told to check out in Ubud, or near Ubud, I should say, is called Kretia Day Club. I am once again hopping on a grab bike and heading back to the area where I was yesterday for the rice terraces. This is one of the most popular day clubs here in Ubud.
Kretia sits right above the Tegalalong rice terraces, so you have incredible jungle views while you hang out in their infinity pools and jacuzzis. They also have restaurants on the property, and they throw all sorts of different fun events. It's definitely worth visiting if you're in the area. I do recommend, however, buying your ticket online instead of in person because they have several different deals that they offer, but they're only available if you buy your ticket in advance. I think this is the kind of place that can probably get very crowded, so it seems like I've gotten very lucky to have as much space here today as I do. They do have multiple levels of pools and several jacuzzis, so it's actually a really big complex, and there's lots to check out.
Press me down where I have landed. Don't you find me heavy-handed. I will take the blame for planning, but oh, Daisy, understand it.
It did start raining, but I think as long as there's no lightning, I could stay in the pool. We'll see.
Well, there's been an update. It's so rainy. I don't know if the microphone on this is gonna work. So I did give it my best shot. I waited to see if the rain would let up. I've been here actually a good while just chatting to the other people in the jacuzzi, but the rain's not going anywhere. So I think I am gonna go to my next stop, but this has still been a pretty incredible day. I mean, when else in my life will I be in a jacuzzi overlooking rice terraces in Bali in the pouring rain? Hello from sunny and beautiful Uluwatu here on the island of Bali. We are in the southernmost part of the island now, and it is just beautiful. Today I'm gonna grab a quick Bali breakfast, a classic smoothie bowl, and then I'm headed to pretty much the main site to see here in Uluwatu, which is Uluwatu Temple. I'm wearing a skirt today, which means I have to ride side saddle on the back of the grab bike, and I'll be honest, riding a grab bike is scary to begin with. Riding side saddle is so scary. It's cool. It makes me feel very cool. But, you know, I see all the local women do it and they are so much cooler than I will ever be. They do it like it's no big deal. For me, I've only ridden side saddle a couple times and it does freak me out every time. But I had to dress appropriately for the temple. We've made it here to Uluwatu Temple and I'm very excited to look around and explore. I've heard that this is one of the most beautiful temples here on the island of Bali, so I'm very much looking forward to it. You can also come later in the day around sunset. I believe at 6 p.m. every day they do a performance of a fire dance, which I'm sure is really fantastic as well. It also is when the temple's the most crowded, so I'm hoping that by coming earlier in the day I've sort of beaten the crowds. There are signs here explaining how to make sure that you're appropriately dressed, so if you have your knees out, you're wearing shorts or a short skirt, you can borrow one of the purple sarongs, and then regardless of how long your bottom half is, you have to wear an orange sash. So I just have an orange sash over my maxi skirt. When you arrive, you'll pay your entrance fee of 50,000 rupiah, which is give or take $3 US, and the people at the ticket counter will warn you. You cannot wear any jewelry, you cannot wear any sunglasses, you cannot have food on you because of monkeys. From everything I've heard, the monkeys here are particularly aggressive, or they can be aggressive. So I'm gonna be very careful, especially with my camera. I'm gonna film as much as I can, hopefully film a monkey or two, but also, as I'm saying this, I'm keeping an eye out for some curious monkeys.
I don't take it in big numbers. I could get used to this kind of hunger. Everyone deserves a lonesome slumber, so I don't take it in big numbers.
In addition to the temple itself, which is of course gorgeous, you have this walk that goes along the cliffs here, and you can hear the waves in the background, which is amazing because they're so far down below, but it's actually quite loud in person. And I don't know how well you can tell on camera, but it is so hot today, so I'm very sticky, sweaty, but these views are just incredible, and it really just goes to show how many different types of scenery there are on the island of Bali, because Uluwatu looks so different already from Canggu, from Ubud. It's just a really diverse landscape.
Small doses, little tastes are all I need. Small doses are all it takes to feel the release. And like little roses get replaced, I'll wipe my slate clean until these small doses get a hold of me.
I have to say, the monkeys here at Uluwatu Temple are a completely different level. In the last 5 minutes alone, I saw a monkey with a shoe, a monkey grab a woman's purse, and a monkey fully steal a hat off a woman's head, and then ran away with it. She tried to get it back. It's not successful. I did not see anything like that in Ubud. This is a different level. They're really not kidding when they say you need to be very vigilant and cautious when you visit Uluwatu Temple. I think I figured out that the trick with riding side saddle is that you need to call it a Grab XL, because then the bike is a bit bigger, and I just felt a lot more stable this time around. I've now come to a food market here in Uluwatu. It's about 15 minutes of a ride away from Uluwatu Temple, but they have a few different stalls. All of the food is extremely affordable, and I think it's going to be extremely good as well. It's a little empty right now, but I think that's because it is lunchtime and it's a bit early for lunch, whereas typically this place is probably a bit more packed at dinner time. I am here at Sunday's Beach Club in beautiful Uluwatu, Bali. We are on the southern tip of the island of Bali, so the beaches look quite a bit different from the ones in Canggu, which have black sand and are a bit more surf-focused than this, which is where you'll see a few more people swimming, although right now the tide is quite high and the current's quite strong, but that will not keep me from getting back in. One of the reasons I was most excited to come here to Sundays is that they offer a few different water activities for free included in your cover charge. Unfortunately, the tide is already pretty high, so some of the water activities like stand-up paddleboarding and kayaking, I believe, are already closed for the day. However, I've made it here just in time to get to do some snorkeling. My choice to come to Sunday's Beach Club today was a bit of a splurge. In total, it cost me around $50 US, but 30 of that counts as a credit towards food and drink. So essentially, it's a $20 cover with a $30 food and beverage minimum. That said, if you arrive after 6 p.m., you can pay just the $30 food and beverage credit, and there's no $20 cover after that time. There are many different beach clubs to choose from here in Uluwatu, and the reason I chose Sundays was because it's one of the only ones that has its own private beachfront. So you can go swim in the water, you can relax on the sand, you can get drinks or food. It's also very family friendly. There's not a huge crazy party atmosphere here. And I've heard that it's relatively affordable. Obviously, the prices for these things really range, and there are plenty of beaches that you can just go to with your own towel for free. So I will admit, the current is quite strong today. It's why you don't see too many people in the water behind me. There are some other people swimming. I promise I'm not that crazy to be the only one. But typically, when the current is not so strong and the waves aren't so crazy, you can do a bunch of free water activities at Sunday's Beach Club, such as snorkeling, stand-up paddleboarding. I think they have kayaking as well.
They're just unfortunately closed at the moment because I think you won't see too much if you try snorkeling in this.
I won't tell you that I like it. I could get used to this kind of quiet. Maybe I'll even start to buy it, and I'll forget how much I like it.
So far today, I have been sunbathing, reading my book, and swimming quite a lot. And I don't know how well you can tell on camera, but the tide has now gotten very, very high. They've actually taken away 2 or 3 rows of the beanbags and the umbrellas just because the water keeps rising. And because of that, they've actually offered me one of the day beds for free. Usually it's an extra charge, but because of the high tide, there's not as many options for seating. So that was a really nice offer. So now I've moved over. We're getting a little bit closer to sunset now, so I'm kind of happy with the amount of time in the sun I've gotten. And now I'm just really looking forward to an incredible sunset. The sun is going down, there's a live band playing, and there are now bonfires for people to roast marshmallows. And that's all included in the amount that you pay just to be here at all. So I have to say, I feel like even though it's been a little expensive, the value for money is pretty good.
Small doses, little takes are all I need. Small doses are all it takes to feel the release. And like winter roses get replaced, I'll wipe my slate clean until these small doses get a hold.
For lunch today, I'm here at a very popular spot, Warung Local. This is a great place to come if you've just arrived here in Bali, you want to try some Indonesian food, but you don't know quite where to start. It's definitely Westerner friendly, but it also has some really delicious, authentic Indonesian food. They have a buffet, so you can walk along the case of all the different food and pick what you want. You can make your own plate, or they have a preset menu. There's actually a lot of different options. It's a little bit overwhelming, but everything looks so delicious and everyone here is so nice, which is very standard in my experience here in Indonesia. I am here at Padang Padang Beach, which I think is fair to say is one of the more well-known beaches here in Uluwatu. It's very beautiful, but it is on the smaller side, and it is a place where people often come to surf. However, when the tide is low, you can definitely swim here as well. There is an entrance fee to get to this beach. It costs 15,000 rupiah, which works out to about 90 cents. And what's really cool about this one is that to get down to the beach, you get to walk down this almost scary staircase that goes through a cave. The beach itself is kind of small. It can get a little bit crowded. There are some places where you can buy drinks or souvenirs. You can rent surfboards as well. This is a good beach for surfing. And luckily, when the tide is low, like it is right now, you can also go swimming. It was raining when I first arrived, but luckily it seems to have stopped. I think it's passed. Regardless, the sky has been blue the whole time. So I don't mind a little rain when I'm under an umbrella, drinking from a coconut and looking at this view.
right, I gotta say, I have heard people be a little bit disparaging about this beach. I think just because it's such a touristy one, or maybe the fact that it's a little bit crowded on the sand. I don't know what they're talking about. This is beautiful. The water is crystal clear. If you're complaining about this beach, I can't imagine what beach is your nice beach. This is amazing.
When I get bored like I know I will, I'll trade this in for a different pill, and you can watch me try to bend, watch me try to break. When my arms get tired of holding these poses, I'll be the one who exposes that small doses might be all that I can take.
I really can't stress enough how truly perfect this water is. It's just unbelievable. This is the kind of beach day where you just think, I get it. I get why people are as obsessed with Bali as they are. This water could not be more perfect. The sky is so blue, the trees are so green. I know I'm just describing colors, but it just feels so incredibly special. And you know, the weather has been kind of a mix since I've gotten to Bali. There's definitely been a lot of rain, but then there are days like this. I don't know, it's really incredible.
Small doses, little taste are all I need. Small doses are all it takes to feel the release. And like winter roses are in place, I won't try to get clean until these small doses.
Good morning. Today's off to a little bit of a silly start, but I find that my travel fails are an opportunity to help you not make the same mistakes. So it is raining currently. That's kind of an inevitable travel fail, but it does kind of affect a potential beach day. But I'm holding out hope. The sun seems to be coming out, so we might end up having a little bit of sun this morning. I decided that while I'm here in Uluwatu, I do want to take the opportunity to see the neighboring area of Nusa Dua. If you're looking at a map of Bali, the western side of the southern tip is Uluwatu, and the eastern side is where you'll find Nusa Dua. Nusa Dua is known for having lots of luxury resorts, but it also has some really nice public beaches. The beach that I'm on currently is called Menjiat Beach, and my travel fail of the day is that I was actually trying to go to a different beach called Gegger Beach, but when I called my grab bike, I couldn't find Gegger Beach on the map, and so I ended up here. I don't know if this is a me thing or if you somehow can't access Gegger Beach on grab bike. You can find it on Google Maps. I'm not really sure what happened, but essentially those are two different sections of the same beach, which is Nusa Dua Beach. So I think they're pretty similar. They're definitely both beautiful, and I'm not 100% sure if there is a fee to enter. I thought there was, but I walked onto the beach and I didn't see a place to pay, and no one asked me for any money. So maybe this beach is free. So it's currently drizzling kind of heavily, not too bad. I am obviously standing out in it, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to do today. I think I might attempt to stay at the beach with the hope that the sun is coming out. And if I end up needing to go and get some Indonesian food instead, it's not the end of the world. As it turns out, this was a simple case of wait a few minutes and then the sun will come out, which is great.
As long as it's not thunder and lightning, I'm getting in the water. This water is so blue. It's insane. I will say the bottom is quite rocky, so I should probably have water shoes on. I don't. Getting out of the water might be painful on my feet. rain has stopped, but I do think that we might have this gray cloud hanging over our heads for a little while. Even so, the water is still so beautiful. I'm always amazed, in this part of the world in particular, how big of a difference sunlight makes on the color of the water. I'm sure that's kind of an obvious thing to say, but it's just crazy how much the water color seems to change every few minutes as the clouds are rolling by. The waves at this beach seem a bit calmer than the ones at the other beaches that I visited while I'm here in Uluwatu. I don't know if that's just time of day and high tide versus low tide, or if this side of Bali is actually a bit calmer when it comes to beaches, but there's definitely a lot of people swimming. I don't see anyone surfing at the moment. I don't think the waves are big enough, but I do think that it's possible that Canggu Beach, which is about a half a mile away, is a more popular surf spot, and this is a more popular swimming spot. But I'm not 100% sure. There are beach chairs and umbrellas that you can rent for the day. I was able to get a price of 50,000, which is about $3 for the day. So I think I'm gonna sit under the umbrella and read my book here, and we'll see what happens with the rain, but it's possible that we're done with rain for the day. I think that this color of the water is why people come to Bali. I mean, obviously it's not every single time at every single beach, and all the beaches look pretty different from each other in some ways, but when the sun is shining and you have this clear blue, it is really just unlike anything else. I mean, there are definitely many countries in the world that have these beautiful beaches, but there's something about this part of the world that's just so very special and so very beautiful. I'm really grateful that during my time in Uluwatu, I've really gotten to visit beaches kind of all around this southern tip of Bali, and they really all have their own characteristics, their own vibes, but they're all really beautiful and a ton of fun. Typically, when you hear people talk about digital nomads in Bali, they're talking about the neighborhood of Canggu. Today, we're here in Uluwatu and we're seeing a different side of Bali. First things first, I have to show you one of the most popular co-working spaces in this area, which is Monday. Monday has kind of everything except 24/7 access. I think if it was open all night for those of us working ridiculous other time zones, it would be perfect. That said, if you're working more normal hours, this is a great option. You can get a day pass for 200,000 rupiah, which is roughly $12 US. They also have weekly and monthly options that you can subscribe to, become a member that way. And they run a few different deals. One of their big selling points is their fantastic coffee shop in the front right when you walk in. You don't have to be using the co-working space to purchase a coffee there, but it's very nice to have it located right on site. Their main room is where you can get some collaborative work done if you need to talk. There's also an outdoor area and a quiet focus room, which is great to have. If you have any calls, you can book one of their meeting booths, and they also have a meeting room for in-person meetings as well. I'm now taking a little break to go grab some dinner, which is just about 6 minutes walking up the road. However, you may actually be able to tell behind me on camera, Uluwatu is really not walkable. So even though the restaurant I'm headed to is very close by to this co-working space, I have to call a Grab. It's just not really safe. If you follow the channel, then you know I love walkable places. I definitely try to walk in some places where I shouldn't, but this is really looking like the side of a highway, so I think I have to draw the line here. And a Grab is gonna cost less than $1 and take about 2 minutes, so it's really not an issue. But a good thing to note, because Canggu is much more walkable and Uluwatu is really not. I don't know how much this is an off-season thing and how much it's just a Bali or maybe an Uluwatu thing, but the last couple of nights I've run into a few issues with Google Maps not being super accurate in terms of what's open or what's closed. So typically I don't really mind, and I'm pretty used to that kind of thing happening. Just, it's a pretty normal experience when you're traveling that sometimes you're going to show up somewhere and it just isn't open. But unfortunately, because you can't really walk around Uluwatu, I've run into some issues of taking a Grab to a place and then that place isn't open. I haven't walked very far from where my 20-second grab dropped me, and there's a sushi restaurant, and it's open, and the reviews are good. I didn't think I'd be getting sushi tonight, but maybe that's what the universe has decided for me.
My baby got a job at the TSA. All he ever does is watch planes fly away. 'Cause since his lady left, he's counting down the rest. So my baby got a job at the TSA.
Funny enough, that sushi ended up being incredible. So I think I'm very grateful for the slightly roundabout way that I found my dinner spot tonight. But this was really good. Now it's time to head back to the co-working space and get a little bit more work done, because I'm mostly working in the evenings while I'm here in Bali, so I still have a good few hours of work ahead of me. Good morning. Today I have a bit of a digital nomad slow adventure ahead of me. But first, as always, we're starting with breakfast. There's a vegan place here. You know me, I'm not vegan. I wouldn't normally require that in a breakfast place. However, this place has really good smoothie bowls. I had a mango smoothie bowl a couple days ago, and I have not been able to stop thinking about it since. So I'm getting that to start the day, and then we're headed to a market.
This life's a loaded gun. This heart's a lonely one. But if it knew what it was hiding from, maybe it would run.
The area that I'm in now, which is pretty close to Padang Beach, is definitely more walkable than some other parts of Uluwatu. Obviously, when you're choosing where to stay, there's a lot of considerations. I'm right next to a co-working space, so I really like having that option. But if you want to be able to walk around, maybe staying close to Padang Beach is the answer. This area is called Pekatu. That refers to quite a large part of Uluwatu, so it's a little bit difficult to clarify which sub-neighborhoods I'm talking about, but essentially this is a stretch of the road that leads to Padang Beach, so I'm probably about a 5-minute motorbike ride from that beach. But this is a great area with shops and restaurants and lots of things to do. It's a little bit easier to walk around, which is nice. And there are 2 markets today that I want to check out. I'm not really necessarily shopping for anything, although I'm always on the lookout for souvenirs that I can bring home to family and friends. Some presents maybe, we'll see. But I'm also just kind of curious to see what these markets have. This first market here is mostly clothing, but I would say it's definitely the kind of clothing I've seen at different souvenir shops all over Bali. So it's an option if you want a nice maxi skirt or a Bali t-shirt. I actually do kind of like the Bali t-shirts I've seen, but the prices weren't necessarily super low. I asked about one maxi skirt set and they said it was $27 US. Obviously they gave me the price in rupiah, but equivalent of about 27, which is not bad. You're obviously supposed to haggle, but that wasn't really, it's not really in the budget for today. While that first market is actually open every day of the week, the market here at Nomads is only open on Wednesdays and Sundays. I'd say that this market, the one that's open only on Wednesdays and Sundays, is a better bet if you're looking for slightly more unique gifts or clothing. They have more stalls as well, and they have a few DIY things where you can design your own t-shirt or your own phone case. There's a few fun things like that. So you can easily go to both. They're just a, 90-second walk apart, but if you can make it here on a Wednesday or Sunday, I would recommend this one. This second market that I'm visiting is run by a cafe here called Mamada, and they have delicious looking cakes. I was in here the other day just for a quick coffee, and now I think I gotta get a sweet treat. They look incredible.
My baby goes to church every Wednesday afternoon. Circle talks, a whiskey walk from the truth. Someone's gotta help him down, and then maybe back around.
I
have decided it is too beautiful of a day to just sit inside, so I've wrapped up my time at the cafe, hopped on a grab bike, and now it's time to hop in the pool.
This life's a loaded gun. This heart's a lonely one. But if it knew what it was hiding from, maybe it would run.
As a little self-care type treat, I've decided that I'm going to splurge. And when I say splurge, I use that term very lightly, but I'm going to get a massage. I've heard great things about this massage parlor. This place looks really, really nice. It has great reviews. I actually heard about it from a recommendation, so I'm going in feeling very confident this will be a very good massage. Right next door to the massage parlor is a warung, so I'm going to get a little early dinner. During the massage, there was a big rainstorm, which I obviously didn't see, but I could hear it. I could hear the rain hitting the roof, which was such a cool experience. It really added to the ambiance. Dinner was truly fantastic. I really can't say enough good things about that place. It's just amazing when the place that is better than the other restaurants you've been going to is also the cheaper option. It was fantastic. Now I've just gone back to my accommodation and done my third costume change of the day, if you were counting. That is thanks to Southeast Asia heat and also massages and pool time and etc. But now it's time to finally get some work done. I have really just been working in the evenings and late into the night while I'm here in Indonesia. It's really just a time zone thing because most of the people I'm talking to or emailing with are back in the US. So I end up working pretty late into the night, but that's why I get to have a pretty full day before I sit down at my computer. The tricky side of that is just that there aren't that many co-working spaces that stay open late into the night. That said, there is a co-working space nearby. It's only open until 8 p.m., so I'm only going to get my first couple of hours of work of the day done there, but it's supposed to be really nice. It's nearby, and I hear they have things like brownies on the menu. So maybe we'll get dessert. Apparently it's located inside of a hotel, but it's a free co-working space with a cafe that anyone can go to, obviously, as long as you buy a coffee or something. I don't know if I'll be getting a coffee this late into the day, but we'll see. I have a lot of hours of work still ahead of me. Obviously, as a digital nomad, you have to do all your regular life stuff in addition to work and travel. So one thing I'm getting done this morning is laundry. I'm dropping it off. It'll take 24 hours. I'll pick it up tomorrow, and it's only going to cost me a couple of dollars, which is just incredible. This morning, I'm grabbing a quick brunch from a cafe here called Nourish. It's really popular. Their food is really, really good, so I definitely recommend it. And they have multiple locations in Bali. The weather today is perfect for a beach day, so I'm gonna hop on a grab and head straight to Dreamland Beach, which is one that I've heard really, really good things about. It's not too far from Padang Padang. I haven't been yet, but I hear that it's definitely one of the most beautiful beaches in Uluwatu, if not all of Bali. Immediately on first impressions, I am so beyond impressed by Dreamland Beach. This is gorgeous. The water is so blue. I'm always worried that there's no way that my camera can accurately capture the colors, just how vivid everything is. I'm not the only person here, obviously, but it doesn't feel like it's very packed, and that might change throughout the day, but right now is the good weather, so I'm pretty happy. I decided to rent a sunbed for the day. It cost me 100,000 rupiah, which is just about $6 US.
I figured it was a pretty good deal, especially considering this is the beach.
All right, I won't lie, I'm a little bit worried about how intense these waves look right now, but I can't get over the color of this water. I gotta get in. So funny, the waves are either really, really intense for a few minutes or they're like this. But I think there's gonna be more more intense waves. Apparently low tide is at 3 p.m. today, and I think it's roughly 12:30? 1? I actually don't know what time it is. It's post brunch o'clock. So we have a few more hours of intense waves, I think, but at least in this exact moment, it's fine. Now, just to break the social media illusion a little bit, this is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but there is quite a bit of trash, which is just so unfortunate. I did have a nice little freak out that I wish I caught on camera when a plastic bag hit my leg, and I was convinced it was jellyfish for a good 10 seconds. So, I don't know how much is showing up on camera in terms of the trash. It's unfortunate. It's the reality of this beach and a few beaches nearby, but it's still really, really beautiful. But I don't want to omit something that is a factor here. A lot of the beaches in Uluwatu are more for surfing than for swimming, just because the waves can be really intense. But I've read that Dreamland is one of the better options if you want to swim like myself. It's good to pay attention to the tides. You can look online to see when low tide is going to be, because that's going to be your best bet for swimming. And just always be very careful. These waves can be really strong. These currents can be really strong. So you just want to make sure, especially as you're sharing the space with people who are on surfboards moving very quickly. I haven't seen any collisions, luckily, but definitely be careful and make sure that if you're not a strong swimmer, you're taking extra precaution. There is a fee to enter the beach, which you can pay in cash when you first arrive. It's 10,000 rupiah, which works out to 60 cents US. Obviously, extremely affordable. I don't know exactly where that money goes, if it's to upkeep of the beach or if it's just the locals kind of charging a tourist tax. Either way, it's 60 cents. After a quick pit stop back at my accommodation to shower the beach off of me, I'm now headed to a very fun digital nomad activity, which is getting a haircut. This is one of the great things to take advantage of when traveling, is trying out things that I could do that would be boring and a task back home, like a haircut. But here in Bali, they're fun. I am so happy I came here. I'm so happy with my hair. It was such a great cut. It was really fast as well. I got a nice shampoo and then cut and blow dry, and I'm just so happy. The entire price was 317,000 before tip, which I think checks out to around 19 US dollars, which is a very, very good price. You can find haircuts for much, much more here in Bali, and this salon is so nice. All the people that work there are so great, so talented, so nice. I really recommend it, and the price was fantastic. It's now unfortunately time to get some work done, but we're gonna get some work done from a very, very cool spot. There is a cafe here that's very popular for digital nomads as well as pool goers and coffee drinkers of all kinds. I think we're gonna have a pretty fantastic view just behind the laptop screen.
I'm here at Mana Cafe, which is known for having some really incredible views, and I've made it just in time to catch golden hour and sunset with my new haircut. I know I have to get some work done, but this feels like a treat. If I understand correctly, the way that this place works is that until 5 o'clock, you can work in their downstairs restaurant area on your laptop, and then after 5, there's an upstairs section with the most incredible view. I don't know if I can sit right here facing the sunset because I think I'll go blind, but it is so, so beautiful.
If you've made it this far in the video, then let me just take a moment to say thank you so much for being here. My adventures across Indonesia have been so very special, and I know that there is so much more of this country that I still need to see, so please let me know in the comments your recommendations, all of your thoughts on where I should head next time I'm in Indonesia. I am so grateful for this time in both Jakarta and Bali. I feel like I got to see so much, and yet there's still so much left to see. If you enjoyed the songs in this video, they are all my own original music. You can find them linked in the video description, or of course, anywhere you listen to music online by searching Claire Hawkins. If you aren't yet following me on Spotify, I hope you will do so. And of course, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much. It truly means the world.
I'm working on my foreign